Real people, real opinions. Nighttime talk with Niall Boylan.
Ireland's classic hits radio.
Welcome along to our little summer nighttime soiree. I'm looking at the Garda numbers, and the Garda numbers fell during the summer months as efforts to increase the size of the force of the government to a target of 15,000 continue to falter. There are fewer sworn-in Garda members at the start of the year than there are now, despite a recruitment campaign. A combination of resignations, retirements, and smaller than the expected classes entering the Garda College has resulted in 2 years of post-pandemic Garda recruitment making little progress. Now, lads, you can't be blaming the pandemic at this stage. The days of blaming the pandemic are gone. That finished last year. Realistically, on an increasing population, and that's what we have at the moment, the next CSO figures, probably, or statistics that will be taken in this country, would be up to maybe 6.5 million, 7 million, maybe in about 20 years' time. The Garda numbers have to increase with that. And it's not happening. More Gardaí are retiring. They're doing all sorts of things like increasing the retirement age and all sorts of things, getting rid of height restrictions. And people don't want to be a guard. Mind you, they could increase the pay a little bit. That might help somewhat if you make it a financially attractive job. But realistically, the bottom line is, who wants to be a guard? You know what I mean? What could be behind the fact that nobody wants to join the guards anymore? Is being a guard an attractive job to a younger person, particularly when they may or may not know where they'll be stationed? It was often a case with kids in school that they would aspire to be a pillar of their society, like a doctor or a fireman or a pilot or a Garda, when they were asked in school what they wanted to be when they get older. Presumably, there's just a blanket response nowadays when they ask kids what you want to be: an Instagrammer, a TikToker, a YouTuber, an influencer. That's probably what they say nowadays, isn't it? I'm assuming they don't say guard or pilot or fireman anymore. Or for a lady, if that's what they wanted to say then. I don't know what's your view on being a guard, but I'm going to be totally honest with you. From a personal point of view, all the money in the world wouldn't pay me to be a guard. I think, and I don't mean that in a bad way, lads, if you're listening, I think it's a thankless job. I really do think it's a thankless job. Imagine being married, with a young family, and you're a young guard, and you're going out to work every day wondering are you going to go home that night. I understand people have their problems. And yes, look, by the very nature of the job, and obviously the fact that they follow orders, they can make enemies of the public. And I get that, but I don't want to get too much into that tonight. I want to focus more on the fact of, it's a difficult job. It's not an easy job, and it's a dangerous job by times. And we don't have enough of them. So how do we make Ireland safe? How do we reduce crime numbers? Because clearly crime is out of control. I mean, petty crime in particular is out of control in the city because the population is growing. So statistically, crime has to be on the rise, unless suddenly we're all wonderfully nice people. So, this idea that we're surprised that crime is on the rise is a bit stupid. Because, as I said, we've gone from a population in 20 years of, 3.5 million to 5.2 million. So clearly, crime has to rise with those increasing populations. And also, we're dealing with a situation now where Ireland is changing. We have many different cultures, people with different values and different morals. Some people come into this country and believe certain things are not actually crimes, and they find out very quickly that they are. And the guards have to deal with all of that as well. Nighttime economy is, I suppose, slumped somewhat. But yet the people that are in town at night seem to want to beat the shite out of each other. I mean, there's drug dealing going on openly all along the quays and down O'Connell Street. O'Connell Street should be the most beautiful street in this city, in the capital city of Ireland. But it's not. It's not something we could be proud of because there's fights on it, open drug dealing on it. It's just not something that we should all be proud of. It's full of takeaways. It's, it should be like the Oxford Street of Dublin, but it's not. It's a kip. Let's be clear about it. And most people will regard it as such. And also, it's not good to have high crime rates, even if it's just petty crime in a city where you hope to get tourism in, because those messages go across the world. It just takes one tourist to be mugged and have their, wallet robbed. And all of a sudden, it's in their local paper in Canada or New York or whatever it is that they were robbed and their money was taken. And that's, 20 more people who are not going to come to Ireland. Somebody used to say to me years ago about, the nightclub industry. A good customer will tell 5 people they had a great time. A bad customer, somebody who didn't have a good time, will tell 100 people. And that's true. It's true. The people who enjoy their stay here in Ireland and have a good time will tell some of their friends. Yeah, absolutely. It was great. Ireland's lovely. But those who had a bad time and were treated badly or experienced crime or harassment on the streets, they'll tell 100 people how shite Ireland was and never to go there, or it was a rip-off or whatever it was. So we need to take care of our economy. We need to take care of our tourism. And the only way we can do that is to keep Ireland safe. We can't keep Ireland safe when we've only got 13,000 guards with a population of 5.1 or 2 million people now at this stage. It's probably 3 or 4 million people at this stage now. So how do we do that? How do we increase the number of guards? We've done everything. Even the starting age has gone up. Old men can become and old women can become guards now. How do we do it? How do we make the streets safer and increase the number of guards in the street? Would you want to be a guard? Let me know. The number is, as usual, 087 188 0008. That's 087 188 0008. I want to go to Elaine. Elaine, hi, how are you?
Not too bad, Niall. How are you?
Good. Elaine, how do we encourage more young men and women? How do we make the Garda force more attractive so that we can have safer cities and safer streets?
Do you know what, Niall? I think we need to undo certain policies inside in the country and maybe stop having the Gardaí working directly against their people at every aspect of life. You've probably seen over the last couple of weeks as well, protesting and stuff that has gone on up above in Dublin, where Gardaí were brought out in riot gear and for fun sprayed crowds with pepper spray. Elderly were pepper sprayed.
Well, I don't think they did it for fun, but yes, some people would say it's over-the-top policing. Yeah, I get that.
It's a bit hardcore, and to be honest with you, like you were saying there, Niall, as well, you've Gardaí and stuff that are sleeping on couches and stuff. Like, there was 2 Gardaí went out into some kind of a mosque, and they were recruiting people from mosques.
I saw the video, yeah. I saw the video.
It's just, there's no incentive there because there's no real work being done in the country. There's no justice being served. I mean, we're allowing paedophiles walk free from court and people that have committed heinous crimes on people. And then we have grandmothers being locked up for TV licenses and not wearing masks. I mean, the system is completely corrupt. It's backwards. So I'm not surprised that people are leaving the force in their droves. But at the same time, what's going to be there to replace them? I mean, there was a Red C poll done on Drew Harris where 98% of the Garda...
It wasn't a Red C poll. It was the Garda themselves voted, the Garda Representative Association. Oh, right. Yeah, 98.8% of Guards said they had no faith in Drew Harris. But he's finished soon anyway,
Very high percentage. And the fact that he's brazenly still sitting where he is today, where he may himself be wanted for war crimes in the north. I mean,
I don't know if he's wanted for war crimes in the north now. That's a bit of a stretch. But in saying that, look, a lot of people are not happy with his style of policing, which comes originally from the PSNI or stroke or UC. Yeah.
There's no policing whatsoever. Why were we once upon a time on Garda Síochána, and why are we now only on Garda? Because the Gardaí have been privatised, Niall, and they're a registered corporate business under Dun & Bradstreet in England. You can look it up.
Oh, no, I know. But that goes back a long way. There's a lot of government bodies, by the way, are registered as limited companies and registered as corporate interests, in the UK. Because you have to remember, we were ruled by the United Kingdom for a long time, Elaine. And those laws, a lot of those laws are still in place, or those ideas are still in place. That doesn't make any difference to the job they do.
Well, it's a corporate business, Niall.
Yes, but it's not treated as a corporate business. It's not for profit.
It is now because every time
it's not. It's not for profit because hold on. No, any money that's made by the Garda Síochána through fines for speeding or whatever by the courts goes straight back into the state. So it's not for profit. It's not run like a corporate business. That's the silly suggestion. I'm not disagreeing with you. And I'd read that before somewhere that it's registered as a private company.
If all of them fines went back into the state and we were getting proper funding, I'm pretty sure we'd be able to pay these guards a bit extra. I'm pretty sure we could pay these guards extra right now if we really wanted to, but there's something stopping us from doing it. We'll make the country safe when we start undoing failing government policy over and over again, which is putting these guards under severe distress. They have nothing to defend themselves, bar maybe a sup of pepper spray. And you look at what we're taking into the country. We're now importing crime where there's no vetting, there's no integration process, and they're left to do what they want. Our Gardaí are under severe distress. Now, there's good and bad in every force. I don't fully agree with the guards, but at the same time, if I was in trouble in the middle of the night and having 2 kids here at home, I would need them at my doorstep.
By the way, can I point out the government have stated, the Department of Justice, that there's no correlation or link between immigration and crime.
That's a lie.
But here you go. I know I'm going to tell you, I personally believe that's BS because, you know, when you think about it, we actually, according to the same Minister for Justice, we don't keep figures or statistics in relation to immigration and crime. So I don't know how they can say there's no correlation between it when they don't actually keep the figures in the first place.
And why don't we keep those figures, Niall? Because it's what? It's racist.
Well, Ireland and England are the only two countries in Europe that don't keep those figures.
Of course, because we're the laughing stock of the world because of EU policy that we've opted into.
But I'm agreeing with you, by the way, Elaine. I think it's really important. I think the nationality of a person who commits the crime, I think, is extremely important because it's not about the nationality or the colour of somebody's skin. What it is about culture. And we have to be able to, if we're going to deal with crime from different cultures and different moral backgrounds, we have to be able to deal with it and we have to have an understanding of those statistics. So I agree with you, Elaine.
Absolutely, our country's a free-for-all. It's an absolute free-for-all. And to be honest with you now, I feel sorry for some of the guards, some of the decent guards that do go out to earn their money to go home and support their kids and maybe try to pay a mortgage. I feel sorry for them that they're putting in their life in danger every single day that they go out. Why? Because of Helen McEntee and Charlie Flanagan inside this country. We've had tourists come into this country that have been killed on the streets of Dublin, and you've Helen McEntee, that liar, telling people that she'd walk down the streets of Dublin unaided without any security.
But she didn't tell people that, but she kind of gave that impression, but everybody saw the photographs with 3 or 4 guards flanking her. Yeah, I mean, look, you're right. It's all well and good for her to say the streets are safe. She doesn't go anywhere without having security. And we all don't have the luxury of security. Thank you for that, Elaine.